Studio Ghibli has dropped so many masterpieces over the years, from Howl's Moving Castle to their most recent The Boy and the Heron, Spirited Away, so many. I think this one is one of their best, I think, and it's one that holds so much joy in my heart. Princess Mononoke, it's a beautiful story that I think you need to experience. Like, if you're an anime watcher, I think you should experience Princess Mononoke. Watched it when I was very young, and I remembered it. So I said, let's talk about it today. Let's talk about this legendary 1997 animated film that was directed by yours truly, Hayao Miyazaki, and it was produced by Studio Ghibli. It's a blend of history, fantasy, and it has environmental themes that I think are very good, especially in today's current world where industrialization is increasing. You understand? So it has very rich messages that can even be received today. So we'll break it down, the entire plot, talk about some of the characters, and explain its deep themes, intense conflict, and also the unforgettable characters. A story is made up of its characters. So, the story begins, it's set in medieval Japan. This is during the late Muromachi period. We see a young prince named Ashitaka. He's the last Emishi prince. He's just living a peaceful life in his hidden village. Then one day, a massive demonic boar covered in maggots and black tendrils attacks. So he defends the village, but during the fight, the boar touches his right arm and then it infects him with a deadly curse. So he then slays the beast, but he then learns from like the village wise woman that the boar was actually a nago. It's a boar spirit corrupted by hatred and the iron that has been lodged in its body. So its curse grants Ashitaka superhuman strength, but it would eventually kill him. So with no cure in his village, we then follow him as he is exiled and sets out on a journey to find answers and find the cure. So he travels west, through his eyes is where we see, anyway, that's how you experience most stories, but it's through him that we experience the story and understand the world and everything around it. He witnesses a violent world where humans and nature are at war. They're not living in, harmony, let me put it like that. Forges, you see smoke of industrialization, burning down forests to build villages and all that, and the animals, killing of too many animals. You understand? Polluting rivers and all the things we do in present day too. You know, he rescues two men. We see him rescue two men from a group of samurai, and they discover his cursed arm gives him unnatural strength, allowing him to shoot arrows with deadly precision that even sever limbs. So, he's kind of like let's call it a Japanese, like he's an olden day superhero. You understand? He's very strong. So he eventually meets Jikobo. This is a monk working for the emperor who cryptically tells Ashitaka about the great forest spirit that can give and take life, So Jikobo hints that the emperor seeks the forest spirit's head, believing it will grant him immortality. So he then sets out to follow Jikobo's advice and continues towards Iron Town. It's an industrial settlement that is ruled by one of the next major characters in the story, Lady Eboshi. She's a powerful, very ambitious woman who has been waging war with the spirits of the forest for like a long time now. So we then see this is where the majority of the story takes place. We then see everything kind of through here, how you can understand both sides of the story. You understand? Because technology has brought us so many good things: medicine, transportation, ease of living, increased farming, and all that. But it has also brought pollution and so many other things, destruction of wildlife and all that. So you can understand where the two opposing forces are. You can understand their points of view. This is where it's around this time that he then sees San the wolf. Before reaching Iron Town, he encounters a battle between San. She's a woman, she's a wild young woman that was raised by wolves in the forest, and Lady Eboshi's forces. San, also known as Princess Mononoke, which means spirit princess. She rides a giant. Honestly, she's so cool, man. See her for real. First time watching this movie was so cool. She's a wild woman that rides a giant wolf, bro. It doesn't get any harder than that. So she rides a giant wolf named Moro, who is her adoptive mother. San, she's opposes human. So it's kind of like a Tarzan story, human raised by animals, so adopts animal traits and everything, and becomes one of the animals, doesn't consider his or herself human. You understand? So she's fighting them, trying to protect the forest and trying to protect the spirits of the forest from harm. So during the battle, San nearly kills Eboshi, but Ashitaka intervenes, knocking both of them unconscious. Honestly, that was a Giga Chad move right there. He then carries San and Eboshi away, showcasing this is where he showcases his incredible strength. But his cursed arm starts to flare up, and despite his efforts to stay neutral, he is caught between a battle, a war. Like he's just looking for answers and a cure for his arm, but then he gets caught in the middle of a battle between spirits and humans. It kind of reminds me of like Avatar now that I think about it. Funny enough, it reminds me of like that Avatar 1 story, where he, becomes the Avatar, but like he trying to mediate because humans think he'll fight for them. He's human. The spirits think, hey, you're one of us too now. You lived with us. You have a spirit inside you, understand? But then he's trying to be mediator now, you understand? Caught between two worlds kind of story. So then after he arrives in Iron Town, after Ashitaka arrives in Iron Town, this is where he learns that Lady Eboshi's vision, she's not really evil, you understand? This is where he sees her own side of the story too. She has freed brothel workers, give them a new life as rifle makers and protects her people from bandits and samurai. However, her ambition, comes at the cost to the natural world. So you can see both sides, you understand? Yeah, medicine is good. More food is good. More fish is good. You understand? Transportation, road, not using all those olden modes of transportation, taking a train and all that is good. Muskets to defend yourself is good. But like at the cost of too much of nature is not good, so everything has to be moderate. You understand? So Eboshi then reveals that she is responsible for shooting Nago, that's the boar spirit, which led to his corruption and transformation into a demon. She also wants to kill the forest spirit, believing that doing so will secure humanity's control over nature. So he's like, yo, you gotta chill out, dog, for real. So this is when Ashitaka then collapses from his injuries, goes into like a mini heavy fever and stuff. So San infiltrates Iron Town to kill Iboshi finally, but Ashitaka regains consciousness and stops their fight. Instead of attacking them, he tells her she's beautiful. Yeah, for real. I don't think she has ever heard that before. Like, because the way, I mean, this is a wild woman. I don't think she has even, she doesn't even know what a human male conversation is like with humans, so that kind of thing. Then she is then shot by one of Eboshi's guards, actually, but she survives. So then San then takes Ashitaka to the heart of the forest where they meet the forest spirit. It's a deer, it's like a deer-like spirit with a human face. I love the designs of a lot of these spirits in this anime. They are very cool and it's very Studio Ghibli. I think these are because this movie is like in the 90s, so it's like a lot of it gives is where he continued on like his later movies of how he designs spirit-like entities. It's very cool and very weird. The spirit then heals Ashitaka's wound but does not lift his curse, showing that nature's power is not, is not something that humans can control or bargain with. Meanwhile, the surviving boars, they are led by the massive Okoto. They gather for like the final battle against the humans. However, they are desperate, but they are doomed to fail. Jacobo and his men, they tripped Otoko into leading his boars into an ambush, using their hides to disguise themselves as fallen comrades. The balls then fall into chaos and are slaughtered. All of them are killed. So as Okoto lays dying, this is where he starts to transform into a demon, just like Nego too. So San tries to stop the corruption, but he resists, swallowing her in his hatred. And at this time, this was also where Lady Eboshi leads her soldiers into the forest because she also wants the forest spirit's head. Eboshi then, she takes a shot, she decapitates the forest spirit, but instead of it dying, the spirit's headless body begins to like spill black, life-consuming ooze that spreads across the land, killing everything it touches, like that was a dumb thing to do. So San and Ashitaka, they chase Jikobo, who has stolen the forest spirit's head for the emperor. Jikobo, doesn't want to return it, believing it will grant immortality, but a toxic ooze spreads, Iron Town is destroyed, and Eboshi loses an arm. Ashitaka convinces her to let go of her hatred and focus on rebuilding. So the final part of the story is, how they then set out to restore balance to everything. So Ashitaka and San, they restore the forest spirit's head, allowing the dying spirit to collapse into the earth. As it fades, then the greenery comes back across the wasteland, showing that, while the spirit is gone, nature will endure. So Ashitaka is then miraculously, his curse is lifted through a scar on his hand. A reminder of what he had to go through to solve everything that started from him killing the boar spirit. San, however, she remains like conflicted. She acknowledges Ashitaka's kindness, but she refuses to live amongst humans. She chooses to stay in the forest with her wolf family. Ashitaka understands her choice, and he decides to help rebuild Iron Town, promising that they will see each other again. So Princess Mononoke is its story is one of bittersweet. There's no like, there's no, okay, yeah, it's people doing bad things or things in their own interest. You understand, and not understanding each other. But there's no real like conclusion. Good conclusion. You understand? It's just, and I guess that's how life is. A lot of things are not solved like conclusively. It's just I will kick the can down the road. You understand? Because yeah, eventually that forest was still going to be destroyed, whether 10 decades or hundreds of years later. Cities were going to be built and everything. There was no way they were going to stop it. So it was just a kick the can down the road. There was no solving the problem. So it's just people struggling and spirits struggling for their own survival in a changing world. Miyazaki doesn't give a simple answer to the conflict between man and nature, but instead he presents he treats us like adults that we are, and even though you're not an adult, he treats you like you have a mind for critical thinking. Like, how do you interpret this story? And I think that's a very beautiful way to write this kind of movies. So I think Princess Mononoke is one of Studio Ghibli's best produced films. To be honest, it's beautiful and it has a sweet space in my heart. I absolutely love it. If you haven't watched it, I think you should. The animation, all these 90s anime, it has like that kind of vibe. So like it hits the nostalgia spots like real good, for real. It's fun, it's interesting, it'll keep you entertained. It has a beautiful story, and I think you should watch it if you haven't. If you have, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of Princess Mononoke? So, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one.